live from the Save on Foods Memorial Center in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I breathe. I breathe to see the truth. And it's not you anymore. I don't need your complications. Greed is all you offer. We start with a shot from episode 3 of Vanguard, as Lady Lana Hill successfully defeated the Arabian princess, Alice Ali, and then standing tall in the ring. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never define me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never complete me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never control me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never break me down. It cuts to the Marquis de Harlequin hitting his version of the backstabber on Chris Ross and then pinning him. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger, stronger than you. And it transitions to a shot of the Viper squad as they were checking their member, the future Kyle, after he'd been apparently attacked in the backstage area. You are empty, you are guilty, you are dead, you are dead. Dead to me, and I'm never looking back, back, back. I will leave you behind rusted, rusted. Lost in time. Owen O'Rourke hitting his Irish car bomb on Wicked Cat Hale and getting the pinfall victory. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never define me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never complete me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never control me. Fuck that, I don't need that. You will never break me down. A build-up of shots from the match of Gabriel Tuck versus Ira Waters, ending when Owen O'Rourke damaged Tuck's motorcycle, leading to Gabriel leaving the ring to go deal with that. It goes to O'Rourke and Tuck confronting each other, and then Ira Waters hitting O'Rourke with the Calamity Trigger. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger, stronger than you. Steve Murdoch and Apathy fighting, until Apathy uses the weapon provided by the Viper squad, giving Murdoch the DQ victory. Pulled me under, but now I'm well. You're never ever gonna break me down. You're never ever gonna break me down. And you ripped my heart out, but now I'm well. Mad Morales getting the submission victory with his Devil's Lair hold over Larry Lansdowne. You're never ever gonna break me down. You're never ever gonna break me down. And you stole my soul, but now I'm whole. Now I'm whole. Fuck that. Armand von Kraus catching Larry Lansdowne in the shower with Esmeralda von Kraus and subsequently firing him and sending him out of the building without his clothes on. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger. I can't believe in you any longer, any longer. I am stronger, stronger than you. Greg Salazar getting a victory over Frank Windsor with the Memento Mori. And it finishes with Abigail Dresden connecting with a swanson flip piledriver on Eddie Williams to secure a successful Valor Championship. I believe I'm stronger than you. 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 I'm stronger than you. I'm stronger than you. As then it finishes with a shot of Valora Salinas, coming out in a business suit to join Armand von Kraus and Blaze McClancy in the ring as one of the new owners, and then Ian Childress joining them as well. The drone flyover goes through the Save on Foods Memorial Center, showing the crowd that has joined the CWF for tonight's Vanguard. A graphic comes up showing that 7,178 fans have joined Vanguard for tonight's show. It then drops down to the announcer's desk where Jessica Carr and Victoria Hill are ready to get things started. Jessica Carr, welcome, welcome, welcome to Victoria, British Columbia tonight for Season 3 Episode 4 of Conquest Wrestling's Vanguard. Victoria Hill, we have an action-packed show for you tonight, including the first bits of the new Four Winds Wrestling and Turf Fed that is spinning off of the CWF. Jessica Carr, we also have the return of Tarask tonight. Victoria Hill, that can't make Armand von Kraus happy, as Tarask will be returning and taking on Mysterian in one-on-one action. Jessica Carr and Lady Lana Hill, coming off a rare victory last Vanguard, will be taking on one half of the Carnival of Shadows tonight as she faces the Marquez de Harlequin. And his tag team partner will be taking on Wicked Cat Hale tonight as well. Victoria Hill will also have the Keystone State Killer Chris Ross facing the now no longer hardcore icon, Steve Murdoch. Jessica Carr, our main event tonight will be the Viper squad of Monster Mammoth and Mad Morales taking on the former tag team champions, Pacific Rim. That'll be a huge match for the Viper squad. Victoria Hill, oh, Monster Mammoth. Jessica Carr, don't space out on me yet. Victoria Hill, oh no, I'm keeping things going here. Because we will also have our now 3 owners meeting with the upstarts for some business that involves the new 4 Winds Wrestling. And that will be something we all want to see. Jessica Carr, I'm told we're ready to get things going, so let's get things going as we have a CWF debut of Justin Wingate taking on the third man of the Viper squad, the future Kyle. Victoria Hill, let's toss tis to Marcella in the ring. Marcella Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall and is the opening bout of the evening. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Detroit, Michigan, he is the Extreme Classic Justin Wingate. The lights in the arena begin to flicker shades of blue and black as one of One by T Grizzly hits the speakers. The camera pans in on the stage as Justin Wingate steps out wearing his sleeveless, black hoodie attire. He spreads his arms wide as he embraces the loud reception that he is receiving from the fans in attendance. As the announcer calls out his name, we can see Wingate giving every fan on the other side of the barricade a high five while making his way down the entrance ramp and towards the ring. Wingate slides under the bottom rope, then pops back up to his feet where he looks straight into the camera and points his signature finger gun directly at it. He then blasts his finger gun with a smirk on his face and finally falls back against the side ropes as he waits for the arrival of his opponent. Jessica Carr, he looks strong coming into the ring. The fans seem to know who he is. Victoria Hill, what kind of a classic is he? A hardcore classic? Jessica Carr, I think so. Victoria Hill, sounds like this match will be brutal then. Jessica Carr, very likely, yeah. Victoria Hill, well, I'm all for it. Marcella Sancho, and his opponent, hailing from New York, the future Kyle. As the Lil Bibby by Water instrumental starts, the lights go out and it's pitch black. About 25 seconds go by and Kyle emerges from the back as the lights come on and he makes his way on stage. While on stage he stops and looks around for a few seconds before making his way down the ramp. He casually strolls down the ramp because he knows he's better than everyone. As he gets the ring, he walks up the steps and stops on the crowd side of the apron for a few seconds. He gets into the ring and climbs the turnbuckle and just takes a second to bask in the light before stepping down. Once the lights come on, purple lights flash with the music. Jessica Carr, Justin described Kyle as a steroid Santa Claus, and now I can't unsee that. Victoria Hill, I mean he is. I wouldn't mind sitting on his lap and telling him what I want for Christmas, if you know what I mean. Jessica Carr, ew? Victoria Hill, oh, you know you love it. As the bell sounds to begin the match, Justin Wingate rushes across the ring and takes Kyle down with an elbow strike to the side of the head. Kyle gets back up, but is pulled into a side headlock that Justin quickly converts into a bulldog. Justin gets right back up and grabs the rising Kyle for a hip toss, sending Kyle back to the mat. When Kyle gets back up, Justin grabs him and hits a sit-out facebuster, going for the pinfall. Referee, Erica Costa Alvarez, gets into position to make the count. 1, 2. THR Kyle kicks out. Jessica Carr, Justin really taking it to Kyle. Victoria Hill, yeah, the future isn't looking that good right now. Justin gets up and sees that Kyle is also starting to get up. He runs across the ring to the ropes and on the rebound, catches Kyle with a knee strike to the face that sends Kyle back down to the mat in a hard way. Justin goes to the top rope and raises his arms to the air to all of the cheering fans, and then, to a million flashes of light, he leaps through the air and hits a shooting star press that he calls the X Factor. He goes for the pinfall again. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, the Extreme Classic Justin Wingate. Kyle slinks out of the ring while Justin Wingate celebrates his debut win in the middle of the ring. Jessica Carr, well, that was a quick win for Justin. Victoria Hill, we could have given him a speed championship. Except, I don't think Justin does speed. Jessica Carr, we don't know. I mean, he might do speed. We don't know much about him. Victoria Hill, I guess that is right, and he wouldn't be happy for me busting him out in front of millions of fans who might want in. I mean the police who might be interested. I mean, let's hope he doesn't do speed. Jessica Carr, let's get ourselves a quick commercial break and then we'll come back for Wicked Cat Hale and Karya Carvalka in singles action. Thames, a global mail-order company named after a famous river. Definitely, no slave labor involved. The show comes back from the break with Marcela Sancho in the ring to get the next match started. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Grand Junction, Colorado, she is Wicked Cat Hale. The lights begin flashing green, blue, and red as the initial jingle of Nemo by Nightwish starts. Cat delays hitting the stage for those initial 7 seconds. She comes out wearing a black leather jacket that stops at her mid-drift, and she comes out with high energy, throwing up the rock and roll devil horns a few times, before moving to either side of the stage to engage with the crowd, pointing towards them and then starting to make her way down to the ring. She'll continue interacting with fans near the ramp, high-fiving and occasionally pausing to throw up devil horns with other members of the audience. She makes her way to the south side of the ring, jumps onto the apron, and throws her hands out to either side to pose for the audience. Then, slipping under the middle rope, moves to the opposite end of the ring. Climbing onto the middle rope of the turnbuckle, she'll rock up and down with her head down, covering the top rope until rising and flipping her hair back over her shoulders and pose with her arms spread once again, pointing to members of the audience. At last, she'll step down and strip off her jacket, readying herself for the match. Jessica Carr, at the last show, Owen handled Kat like she was a kitten. She's hoping to get some payback for that sometime, but tonight she deals with Karya Carvalka. Victoria Hill, she better be ready for Karya or else she is going to get bitch slapped again. This time with big boobs. Jessica Carr, yeah, she does like to shove people's faces into her ample cleavage. Whore. Victoria Hill, jealous much? Jessica Carr, yeah, maybe some. You? Victoria Hill, I'm good with what I have. Marcela Sancho, and her opponent, hailing from Siberia, Russia, she is the Siberian siren Karya Carvalka. Under the haunting strains of night on Bald Mountain, the arena is bathed in a crimson glow. Karya Carvalka strides down the ramp with a deliberate, almost predatory grace. The spotlight accentuates her imposing figure and the vibrant red of her hair. As she reaches the ring, she blows a kiss to the audience, which turns into a shower of sparkling red confetti, symbolizing both her charm and the danger she brings. She steps through the ropes with an air of regal confidence, her eyes locked on the ring as if it were her kingdom. Jessica Carr, Karya is a bit arrogant without the marquee being around. Isn't she? Victoria Hill, she cuts a powerful visage. Does she not? Like a woman who knows what she wants and how to get it. Jessica Carr, that would make some sense, yeah. Victoria Hill, I know. I'm the most sensible person I know. As the bell sounds to start the match, Kat and Karya begin circling around one another while looking for the opportunity to strike. Kat feints a strike that Karya backs up out of reach. Karya lunges forward and takes Kat down with a lariat. Kat pops right back up to her feet and takes a wild swing at Karya, taking her in the side of the head to stagger her back a couple of steps. She follows this up with a hook kick that brings Karya down to the mat for a brief moment before she gets right back up. They lock up, pushing against one another to try to gain dominance. Jessica Carr, I don't know that this was a bright idea. Victoria Hill, it's not. Kat is so much smaller than Karya. And this holds out true as Katya manhandles Kat and gets her into the corner before releasing her and hitting a couple of turnbuckle thrusts. She lifts Kat up, hitting a belly-to-belly suplex out of the corner toward the center of the ring. Katya hops up and watches the downed Kat try to get up, but then kicks her in the ribs when she gets up to all fours, sending Kat into a roll across the ring. Katya smiles, clearly in charge of the match as she walks over and stomps on the right hand of Kat as she tries to get up again. Kat screams out in pain and uses her free hand to grab one of Katya's knees in a claw move that gets Katya to get her foot off of Kat's hand and back away to break the hold. Kat lunges up into a zero-range leaping crossbody that takes Katya down. Kat hooks the leg and referee, Leroy Wallace, gets into position to make the count. 1, 2. Katya kicks out. Jessica Carr, Wicked Kat nearly stealing the victory early on in the match. Victoria Hill, I don't know about a steal, but yeah. She's keeping the Russian on her toes. Kat Hale gets back up to her feet where she is met by a rising Katya Karnavalka. The two exchange a few punches before Kat whips Katya into the ropes and greets her in the center of the ring on the rebound with a dropkick that sends Katya back to the mat. Katya gets to all fours right away to try to get up when Kat stomps on her right hand and holds her foot there. Kat Hale, mustn't get up before it's time. Katya Karnavalka grunts in pain and headbutts Kat in the knee, hyperextending it to get her to stagger away and get off her hand. Katya reaches into her cleavage and draws out a gold coin that she flips toward Leroy Wallace, who catches it and looks at it curiously before pocketing it real quick. Kat looks confused, and that's when Katya hits her with a fireball full in the face and in front of the referee. Kat backs to the ropes, unable to see and clawing at her eyes in pain. Katya grabs her and whips her into the ropes, meeting her in the middle of the ring with a spear that nearly knocks Kat out of her boots. Jessica Carr, hey, no fair. Katya bribed Leroy Wallace in the middle of the ring. Victoria Hill, right? At least be sneaky about it. Katya pulls the still-blinded Kat up and hits a spinning crucifix toss that she calls Russian roulette. Kat sits up real quick and then falls back to a lying position. Katya hooks a leg with a smirk and goes for the pinfall. Leroy Wallace gets into position to count. 1, 2. Kat gets a shoulder up. Katya kneels up and looks at Leroy Wallace, who insists that there was only a 2 count. Katya shoves Kat, who is trying to sit up, back down to the mat. She slaps Kat for good measure. Katya Karnavalka, Leji, Sucka. Kat gets a wild look on her face and rolls away to her feet. She advances on Katya quickly, slapping her across the face hard enough that a trickle of blood comes from the corner of Katya's mouth. Kat grabs Katya and inflicts the wicked rhythm, Crossroads. Jessica Carr, that came out of nowhere. Victoria Hill, she's going for the cover. This could be it. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, Wicked Kat Hale. Jessica Carr, Kat struggled a bit, but she managed to take home the win in the end. Victoria Hill, that was wicked. Ha! Wicked Kat Hale celebrates her win in the ring as Katya Karnavalka makes her way to the back. Jessica Carr, we're trying to save up some time for something tonight, so we're cutting to another quick commercial break. The bastards. Utter brush it. Utter brush it. Your life is empty, our bottles aren't. Sold where good booze is sold. And we come back from the break with the camera on the announcers. Jessica Carr, welcome back. We're now going to have another debut, but it's technically a return. Victoria Hill, he's back. Tarask is back. Jessica Carr, with a new handler or manager, or whatever she is. And he's taking on Mysterian. Victoria Hill, I just wonder what this will do to Armand von Kraus' mood. I mean, in 2 show cycles he's no longer the only owner, and Tarask is back. Jessica Carr, I guess we'll find out eventually. But let's go to the ring. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall featuring first a challenger from parts unknown, he is Mysterian. The house lights lower and a spotlight falls on the stage, highlighting the entrance from the back. Everything slowly falls silent until an electronically distorted voice sounds over the PA. Who is Mysterian? Basket Case by Offspring kicks off at a deafening volume and strobe lights suddenly start flashing crazily, as though controlled by a kid with ADHD on a sugar rush. Fireworks tear off into the rafters, flooding the empty upper stadium in light. The excitement levels of the crowd grows. Surely an entrance such as this alludes to someone. A big someone. Suddenly that distorted voice sounds again as it once more asks. Who is Mysterian? A spray of sparks erupt either side of the stage and a man bursts through onto the stage. The voice sticks to a loop, repeating the words. He is Mysterian. He is Mysterian. He is Mysterian. The spotlight refocuses on the animated, excited wrestler to reveal. Mysterian walks out from the back dressed in khakis, an off-white button-up shirt, a blue tie, and a blue mask. He is a dad. Dad Mysterian waves at the fans, going from one end of the stage to the other while pointing out fans and cheering for them. Mysterian runs down the ramp, clapping the outreached hands of all the fans excited by this week's impressive outfit. Jessica Carr, so in honor of Father's Day that was recent, Mysterian is dad this week. Really strange, but okay. Victoria Hill, he can be my daddy if he wants. Jessica Carr, you, Victoria. Gross. Victoria Hill, just saying what's on the mind of everyone watching the show right now. Well, lonely housewives anyway and girls with daddy issues. Marcela Sancho, and his opponent, hailing from parts unknown, he is Tarask. Man That You Fear by Marilyn Manson begins playing as Jasmine Minton walks out from the back to see the fans booing at her. She stands in a black gown that is adorned with black feathers. Jessica Carr, who is this bitch? She has enough cleavage showing that even Katya Karnavalka might be ashamed. Victoria Hill, right, it plunges down so daringly that even her belly button is out. It says here that she is Jasmine Minton, Tarask's new manager. I think she's the one they were thinking who stabbed Alyssa Lucci. Jessica Carr, oh shit? Why doesn't someone just call the police? She tried to murder Alyssa. Victoria Hill, you know what? I don't know why someone doesn't call the police. Maybe you should be the one to do it. Jasmine Minton opens the curtains to reveal Tarask standing in all of his glory. He seems more built than ever as he walks out onto the entrance stage before Jasmine begins to let him down to the ring. She stays at ringside while Tarask steps into the ring. Jessica Carr, hello? The lady who stabbed Alyssa Lucci at the airport is right here in the arena like nothing is wrong. Oh? What arena? The Save on Foods Memorial Center. I would assume that she's armed with a knife of some kind since she stabbed Alyssa at the airport. No, I don't know how she got a knife on the plane. Just come and arrest her, okay? Proof? Don't you have a video feed from the airport? She wasn't sly about it. Thank you. Goodbye. Victoria Hill, well? Are they going to come? Jessica Carr, they are on their way. Victoria Hill, oh good. I would hate for her to stab someone else, like me. As the bell sounds to start the match, Tarask rushes across the ring and hits Mysterian with a massive spear, lifting him up and crashing into the corner. Tarask hits a couple of corner thrusts before pulling Mysterian out of the corner and power slamming him in the center of the ring. He stands up and watches as Mysterian gets to his feet and grabs him again for a press slam. He takes a few steps and hurls Mysterian over the ropes and into the side of the security railing, sending it into the crowd. Jessica Carr, I know it's been some time since Tarask has wrestled, but what strength? Victoria Hill, I know, right? So strong. I wouldn't mind being held by such strength. Jessica Carr, well? I reckon it wouldn't be bad, but he is dumb as a box of rocks. Victoria Hill, yeah, but I bet he has the animal cunning to mate. Inside the ring, Tarask runs across the ring and on the rebound, hits a baseball slide drop kick to the rising Mysterian. He grabs him by the tie to pull him back to his feet and rolls him into the ring before following. Tarask picks Mysterian up and applies a bear hug, shaking him side to side while holding onto the bar hug. Referee Troy Reynolds comes to check to see if Mysterian will submit, but he does not. Tarask releases the hold and hurls Mysterian at the ropes like one might a child. On the rebound, Tarask hits a clothesline that nearly turns the masked man inside out. He does a flip before hitting the mat. Tarask reaches down to grab Mysterian by the junk and starts lifting him up into the air. Mysterian screams and waves his arms. He submits. Tarask releases him and he curls up into a little ball, whimpering in pain. Tarask stands in the center of the ring with his arms in the air to celebrate his victory. Jessica Carr, Rise of the Feminine Side, does it. Victoria Hill, if I had nuts, I would probably quit like that too. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via submission, Tarask. As Tarask is celebrating in the ring, Jasmine Minton rolls into the ring to celebrate with him. She goes pale, well paler, when she sees the local police department coming down the aisle toward the ring. 4 strong. 2 men and 2 women. Jane Coughlin stands at the entrance stage, watching in silence as a policewoman is handed a microphone. Policewoman, Jasmine Minton, you are under arrest for the attempted murder of Alyssa Lucci. Come out of the ring and come quietly, please. Jessica Carr, they're afraid of getting into the ring and maybe having Tarask to deal with. Otherwise, they would have just taken him. Victoria Hill, yeah, I would agree with them. A microphone is asked for in the ring and slid in. Jasmine Minton, you got nothing on me, coppers. Jessica Carr, did she just say coppers? What the heck? Victoria Hill, she don't get out much. Policewoman, we have a video of you stabbing Alyssa. Come. Now. Jasmine Minton, fine. I will come quietly. Tarask, go back to the hotel. I'll be out of jail soon. The profane court of the Raven will not let me rot in prison. Jasmine rolls out of the ring where she has cuffs put on her and she is led toward the back. Tarask looks lost for a moment before he too heads to the back. Jessica Carr, Kekanat has been arrested. Hopefully, they can keep her there. Victoria Hill, I doubt it. Jessica Carr, and once again, we cut to a commercial break. But I'm told when we come back, the owners of the CWF and 4 Winds Wrestling will be meeting with their special guests, the upstarts. Lonely fans. We'll touch you in place that a real girl would, in your wallet. We come back from the commercial and the ring has been set up with 3 stools and a table. The table has 5 items on them. They're all covered by navy blue velvet coverings, but their shades show their title belts. 2 of the 5 are raised up behind the other 3, so that they all can be presented to the crowd. The ring aprons have been digitally changed from the CWF Vanguard logos to ones for 4 Winds Wrestling, the new interfed owned by the CWF. Seated at those stools are the owners, Armand von Kraus, as well as the 2 newly revealed owners of the CWF, Valora Salinas and G. Ian Childress. The announcers fill the audience at home with what's going on. Jessica Carr, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. While we were at our last break, the owners of the CWF have come out here and set up for something. Seeing as how they've changed the logos on the ring for 4 Winds Wrestling. Victoria Hill, and for those who don't know, 4 Winds Wrestling is the new interfed that the owners of the CWF are starting after our poor run with other interfeds just not living up to how well we do business. From out talent to, well, everything. Jessica Carr, and we know that the upstarts, a faction that started in the other interfed, were invited to join us all here tonight on Vanguard. Victoria Hill, and let's turn it over to our new Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Ian Childress. The camera never left the ring. But as soon as the announcers send whatever signal they are to them, Ian Childress pulls a microphone up to speak into it. Ian Childress, good evening Victoria, in Vancouver. Welcome to CWF's Vanguard, but also welcome to the first bit that'll be a start for the CWF and other feds hopefully going forward. Tonight is the start of establishing the new Four Winds Wrestling from the ashes of what was, well, another interfederation alliance that is no more. Valora Salinas, as Ian said last Warzone, we're going to be making some people in the CWF whole. They won the matches, they earned their titles. But we know that we can't have everyone come out here tonight for all of them. So we have invited a particular group to join us tonight. Armand von Kraus, it's a terrible thing that is being fixed. I defeated their leader so soundly that he decided to pack it in on the whole. He hides in his own personal company now, unable or unwilling to make things right. That is what we do now. Ian Childress, and if you're wondering, we didn't come out here to any fanfare or even our music tonight. This is about what the talent had earned, so it's about them. We're going to start off by letting our first group come on out here, stand up and be recognized. Valora nods. Valora Salinas, all right, let's bring them out. They said they wanted to ensure they were coming out as a team. So let's play their team music. And we'll let Marcella do the introductions. Not soon after Valora says that, the Reckoning by Within Temptation starts to play over the arena's PA system. Not soon after that, as a mist-like fog starts to fill the entranceway at the top of the ramp, people start to file out. Marcella Sancho, introducing, now being led out to the ring first by the CWF Valor Champion, Abigail Dresden. First is the CWF Valor Champion, Abigail Dresden, who then motions to one side. The 6 feet 10 inches form of Miguel Lanza Jr. steps out to fill in that spot. Dresden motions the other way, and the current and fourth bearer of the Tetsuo Oni mantle joins her. Marcella Sancho, she is joined by first, the Dreadnought Miguel Lanza Jr. second, by the fourth bearer of the mantle of Tetsuo Oni, and the former CWF Tag Team Champions, Aklat and Kelia Flonot. Pacific Rim. Together they are all the upstarts. Jessica Carr, in the faction that was taking over all of the titles that Eddie Williams of the Bastards wasn't going after in that other fed. Their loss is the CWF's gain. Victoria Hill, Miguel Lanza Jr. made his debut last Warzone, coming out as Abby Dresden's protection against Bastard interference as she fought Eddie Williams. And tonight they're finally joined by Tetsuo Oni IV. Jessica Carr, and we have to point out that for his troubles, Miguel Lanza will be facing Eddie Williams in the opening match on Warzone. Another moment and their other two members, Aklat and Kelia Flonot of Pacific Rim, come out, standing behind them for the only second time ever that all 5 members have been together during a wrestling show. After playing up to the crowd just a bit, the 5 of them then start to head down to the ring. They let Abigail Dresden, the one currently bearing a CWF title, to take the spearhead in the formation. Once they get up to the ringside area, both Miguel and Aklat climb up the ring steps at different corners, and then take a spot to open up the ring ropes for the ladies in the group. Both men reach out their hands for Abby Dresden to grab a hold of, and they pull her up to the apron. She then climbs through the ropes. Aklat then takes Tetsuo Oni's hand, while Miguel takes Kelia's, and they pull the 2 smaller women up to the apron. Both, more acrobatic girls, then do rope flips into the ring together and rush over to opposite corners to play up some more as the 2 huge men both finish climbing into the ring. Victoria Hill, a bit of a flashy entrance here, but highlighting the varied aspects of each member's specialties and abilities. Ian calls them over with a wave of his hand. The upstarts take up similar positions to when they were on the ramp, Abby in front, Oni, Lanza a little behind her and to the side, and the Packrim twins behind them giving support. Ian Childress, so, going to get started with this. As we have said, For Winds Wrestling is taking its start from what happened with that other interfed. Especially since the CWF dedicated an entire Vanguard and Warzone to the trio's titles, and then they fell apart. Right here in the ring we have the winners of that tourney for the trio's titles. The upstarts. In particular, 3 of their members. Abigail Dresden, Miguel Lanza Jr. and Tetsuo Oni, the 4th. They beat teams from all over that other interfed, but in particular, the other semi-final team, the Bastards. The three upstarts make some comments that aren't heard on the camera mics, but they all nod in agreement. Valora, being in the ring with her own daughter here, nods in agreement as well before she comes up. Valora Salinas, and will also point out that Blaze McClancy had been given the division to run, and then had it ripped out from under him. I know he couldn't be here tonight due to working on the pre-show for Warzone, but we'd like to commend him, as well as include him in this. Armand, anything else? Armand von Kraus looks on, as if he was bored in the ring. Armand von Kraus, no. Other than that, I congratulated them all after they had one. And having them all now under CWF contract is only something that'll make the CWF stronger. So please, continue on. Ian nods to him and then he stands up from the stool he'd been sitting on and walks over to the table. He pulls the covers off of the 3 titles in the front of the table. 3 matching title belts are revealed that all say for Wins Wrestling Legion Championship. Ian Childress, so, to start off. For Wins Wrestling is going to recognize the trio's title win for its own version of those titles. So I present to you the 4 WW Legion Championship titles, hereby awarded to and recognizing the upstarts as the inaugural champions. Ian grabs 2 of the 3 matching titles, and hands one to Lanza, and the other to Testuo Oni 4. He lets Valora get up and take the third one to hand to Dresden to add a little something special to that. Armand signals to Marcella to make the announcement. Marcella Sancho, ladies and gentlemen, as things aren't official until the ring announcer says it. You're winners of the Trios Championship tourney from Season 3 Episode 1, and now the inaugural 4 Wins Wrestling Legion champions, the Upstarts. All 3 hold up their Legion title belts to a loud reaction from the crowd. Valora lets it continue for a bit before she asks for a stop. Valora Salinas, but that's not all. 2 of your members had also done other things. And they had the titles to reflect their accomplishments. We're going to start with the one that is not slated to be defended at Shadow Warfare. Valora pulls the cover off of one of the other 2 belts. It is a gold title with a representation of the United Kingdom on it. Ian Childress, well for this one, this will be the first of what may end up being many regional titles. Now, Abigail Dresden. You held their Legacy title and their United Kingdom Championship. The Legacy title was a new belt that was, well, a cheap imitation of the silver belt you're wearing now. It was a pure wrestling title in a hardcore world. But I don't want to take away from the Valor Championship, not yet. But I know you held a lot of pride in the UK belt, due to heritage. Valora picks the title up and hands it to Ian. Ian Childress, so, for our first singles belt, based on winning the Legacy and United Kingdom titles, as well as being a finalist for the Vixens title. Ian shows some distaste for the use of Vixens in a title name. Ian Childress, I present to you, the Albion Championship. To be defended at a later date, against only someone from the United Kingdom or one of the few remaining Commonwealth countries. Right now, if you get past Salazar on Warzone, we do not intend for this to be defended at Shadow Warfare, as the Valor title must be defended. He holds out the title belt to Abby Dresden and lets her take it on the other hand from her Legion title, giving her 3 titles now, CWF Valor for WW Albion and 1/3 of the 4 WW Trios title belts. As she takes the belt, Abigail holds it, tears welling in her eyes. Once more, the champion of her homeland. She rests her forehead on the title, Tetsuo Oni 4 and Miguel patting her on her back, giving the young Brit a moment with her new belt. Victoria Hill, the Albion Championship. I'm getting the vapors. That's a pretty title. Jessica Carr, well, supposedly that other Interfed was a drain on our resources. So they can now afford belts like that. Marcella Sancho, ladies and gentlemen, your inaugural 4 Wins Wrestling Albion champion. Abigail Dresden. Victoria Hill, and that makes it official in our eyes. Valora Salinas, and I'd like to personally add one more thing for you. Since I'm in charge of what's going to happen with my now former championship, the Elite Championship. Let's show a little clip that someone filmed from the audience on that show. A video clip shows up on the huge screen over the entranceway. It shows Abby Dresden and one other person working over someone else in a ring. The logos for everything have been digitally blurred and the quality and angle of everything isn't the greatest, but the red hair and wrestling gear is definitely Dresden in the ring. She and the other person whip someone to the ropes, which Dresden quickly follows them, going to another rope. The person she's working with looks to go for a hip toss near the ropes, and Dresden runs up and helps push them over, giving them more air and sending them sailing over the ropes and to the floor. The person she's partnered with moves quickly to grab her and try to take her over the ropes, but she blocks it and lands on the ring apron on the outside of the ropes. A low-angle drop kick, or leg sweep then drops her down to the floor. As this was not official footage, there's no audio or graphics to indicate anything. Valora Salinas, you came in second in their Little Rumble match. The CWF was offering up an elite title shot for that position. So this means that you have an elite title shot in your back pocket. Use it wisely. Armand actually gets up from his stool to move to the other title belt. Armand von Kraus, I guess I'll take the lead on this one. Which I do believe will be defended at Shadow Warfare. He pulls the cover off to reveal a silver title with a swirl design on it that says "For Wins Wrestling Tempest Champion." Armand von Kraus, so this one is replacing their cruiserweight or junior heavyweight title belt. What was it called? Ian Childress, the C4 Championship. Which I have no problem saying was a stupid name. Valora points to the screen over the stage, and a highlight reel plays of someone in the audience at a wrestling show, like before. The logos around the ring are blurred out, as what the CWF would call an Elite X match is going on. The short clip shows Tetsuo Oni for climbing the stanchion on one corner and climbing up to the top of the structure. As a generic bleach blonde is scrambling to shuffle under the cables, Tetsuo Oni gets her balance and then tightrope walks over to the center, where the calves cross and the blurred-out title belt is hanging. She does a handstand and double foots the blonde woman to the chest, knocking her down to the mat below before taking a seat, unhooking the title belt and then holding it up. After a few seconds the clip ends. Ian Childress, now back in the old days of the 4WW. Tempest was our show that would be equated to what the CWF uses Vanguard for. So, it's only fitting that this title when on the CWF will only be defended on Vanguard. This is also going to be a size-limited title belt. Contenders will be limited to 200 pounds or smaller. As the person who will be getting this title was also in the finals for the Vixens title. It's fitting this includes most of the women competitors as well. Armand takes a few steps towards Tetsuo Oni and hands her the Tempest Championship belt. Marcela Sancho, and, now your inaugural 4 Wins Tempest Champion. Tetsuo Oni. Jessica Carr, wait, they said that one will be defended at Shadow Warfare. Victoria Hill, they sure did. Valora Salinas, and as Armand pointed out, the Tempest Championship will be defended at Shadow Warfare. Specifically on the Vanguard pre-show. To determine who will be challenging. Next Vanguard we're going to have a little contenders match. Anyone who meets the weight requirements is invited to get into the ring for an elimination-style match. Winner gets the shot. Just let me know if you're interested in that match and you'll be booked in it. As the other upstarts congratulate Tetsuo Oni, the owners move everything along. Ian Childress, now, this is the first. Of course on Warzone we will have more as we have invited both the Bastards and Bad Company to join us. Just not in the same room at the same time. Valora shakes her head at that being brought up. Ian Childress, so, congratulations to the upstarts for forming the first of the foundation for 4 Wins Wrestling. And I do believe we've run over time to get to the commercials to pay for all of this as it is. So, announcers, take us to commercial and we'll turn the ring back over for more wrestling action. Jessica Carr, and that's the start of what will be 4 Wins Wrestling. Tetsuo Oni 4 is now the Tempest Champion and will be defending that title on the Vanguard pre-show for Shadow Warfare. Victoria Hill, Abigail Dresden is also now the Albion Champion, defending the United Kingdom and Commonwealth nations' pride. As a citizen of the United Kingdom, myself. A fine belt and a fine champion, even if she's a Welshie. Jessica Carr, and now we also have the Legion champion to represent the trio's titles that were won on CWF television. Victoria Hill, and we still have the bastards invited to something similar on this coming Warzone. Jessica Carr, but we need to go to another commercial break. When we come back, more Conquest Wrestling Vanguard. Fed UPS day or night. For when you need it right there. Right TF now. It comes back from the commercial break and Marcela Sancho is in the ring. Victoria Hill comes in to inform the TV audience as to what is going on. Victoria Hill, welcome back. We're ready to get to our next match, as Lady Lana Hill, a fine British woman, will be facing the other half of the Carnival of Shadows in the Marquis de Harlequin. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from London, England, she is Lady Lana Hill. Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC begins playing as Lady Lana Hill walks out from the back, surrounded by her new bodyguards. She smiles and waves at the fans on her way down to the ring. Two of her bodyguards jump up onto the ring apron and open the ropes for Lady Lana to enter the ring, and then they stand down. Lady Lana Hill walks to each side of the ring and waves at the fans before settling down in her corner. Jessica Carr, Lady Lana looking strong this week. Maybe she'll get a win this week? Victoria Hill, you know how much bigger than Lana the Marquis is? Fat chance of victory here. Jessica Carr, you never know. She could take him down. Victoria Hill, well, I mean this is true. Marcela Sancho, and her opponent, hailing from Paris, France, he is the Marquis de Harlequin. Marquis de Harlequin enters with a Baroque-themed orchestral overture Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. The arena dims to near darkness, save for a spotlight that follows him, casting large, distorted shadows. He weaves through the shadows, his movements both graceful and eerie. As he approaches the ring, he produces phantom flames in his hands, tossing them into the air where they transform into a flock of doves that scatter into the arena. Upon reaching the ring, he takes a dramatic bow, a sly smirk playing across his lips, as the lights suddenly return to full brightness. Jessica Carr, Lana is giving up about 9 inches and 105 pounds to the Marquis. Victoria Hill, Katya only dreams that the Marquis was giving 9 inches. Jessica Carr, oh, it doesn't have to be a pervert thing. Victoria Hill, oh, but it does. Why not? As the bell sounds, Lady Lana rushes across the ring and hits the Marquis with a hard right hand that barely turns the man's head. She tries again, but this time the Marquis catches the fist with a smirk. Lana tries striking him with her left hand, but the Marquis catches that too. He squeezes Lana's hands, driving her to her knees. The Marquis kicks her in the chest, releasing her as he sends her to the mat. The Marquis acts like he's going to kick her while she's down, but she rolls away to her feet quickly. The Marquis rushes to her, hitting one powerful European uppercut after another, driving Lana into the corner. He grabs her by the shoulders and drives home a headbutt that rocks her world to the core. He steps back as per the instruction of referee Georgina Ross and watches with a sadistic grin as Lana takes a couple of steps and flops onto her face. Jessica Carr, the size and power difference is pretty damning. Victoria Hill, I don't know which of our owners is doing the booking now, but this was a heck of a mismatch. I'm disappointed in our management. The Marquis goes to pick Lana up, but is pulled down into a jawbreaker instead. Lana gets up and runs across the ring with the Marquis up and right behind her. She leaps at the middle rope, springboarding into a twisting, turning high crossbody block that takes the Marquis down. She stays on top of him and hooks a leg right quick for the pinfall. Georgina Ross gets into position to make the count. 1, 2. THRE the Marquis kicks out. Jessica Carr, see? Lady Lana nearly walked away with the win right there. Victoria Hill, this is true. I did not see that coming. Lady Lana gets up quickly and catches the rising Marquis in the face with a super kick to send him back down to the mat. She goes to the top rope, posing ever so briefly for the cheering fans who know what's coming next, and leaps through the air to hit a shooting star press. Only the Marquis gets his knees up into the air at the last moment, catching Lana and dumping her to the side. He gets to his feet and looks down at her with a cruel grin. "Marquis de Harlequin, and you thought you had me for a moment. Too bad for you, much luck for me." He helps her up to her feet and slips behind her, hitting 3 belly-to-back suplexes in a row before holding onto her for a cover. Georgina Ross gets into position for the count. 1, 2. Lana kicks out. Jessica Carr, Lana was almost defeated right there. Victoria Hill, the luck in a match can change in an instant. The Marquis stands up and glares at Georgina, who meekly holds up 2 fingers to indicate a 2 count. The Marquis grunts and watches as Lana gets up onto all fours and then kicks her in the ribcage just as hard as he can, nearly rolling her over. He kicks her again and again, laughing as she coughs up blood and collapses back down to the mat. The Marquis peels Lana up off of the mat. He hits a snapmare and hits a soccer kick right in the small of the back. He puts a knee to her spine and pulls back on her chin. Lana twists right quick, slipping out of the Marquis grasp. The Marquis reaches for her again, but Lana goes to the ropes right quick. On the rebound, Lana goes for a spear. She slams into the Marquis, but he doesn't budge. He pulls her up into the air and powerbombs her onto the mat with authority. He pulls her back to her feet and hits a disorienting flourish of quick strikes that ends with a devastating backstabber in a technique called the Grand Masquerade. At the end of it, Lana crumples into a heap on the mat. "Jessica Carr, I think this match is all over." "Victoria Hill, right." The Marquis de Harlequin goes for the pinfall, Georgina Ross getting into position to make the count. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, the Marquis de Harlequin. Jessica Carr, Lady Lana tried, but she just couldn't win over the size difference. Victoria Hill, we knew this was going to happen, but it would have been nice if it was the other way. What will it take to get Lady Lana a nice winning streak? Jessica Carr, it is a bit disheartening at times. But she stuck through it all. Victoria Hill, that's why they call her the mascot of the CWF. She's here through thick and thin. Jessica Carr, well, Lady Lana and the Marquis have cleared out of the ring. And it looks like we're getting ready for the next matchup here tonight. Victoria Hill, the Keystone State Killer Chris Ross taking on Steve Murdoch. Will this one go hardcore? Jessica Carr, well, Chris Ross is known for using some hardcore tactics at times. So it's not off the table if he has his way. Victoria Hill, but will Steve Murdoch welcome that? Jessica Carr, and will Team Viper be able to leave him alone for a match without their interference? Victoria Hill, God, I hope not. It comes back from the commercial break and Marcela Sancho is in the ring. Victoria Hill comes in to inform the TV audience as to what is going on. Victoria Hill, welcome back. We're ready to get to our next match, as Lady Lana Hill, a fine British woman, will be facing the other half of the Carnival of Shadows in the Marquis de Harlequin. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from London, England, she is Lady Lana Hill. Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC begins playing as Lady Lana Hill walks out from the back, surrounded by her new bodyguards. She smiles and waves at the fans on her way down to the ring. 2 of her bodyguards jump up onto the ring apron and open the ropes for Lady Lana to enter the ring, and then they stand down. Lady Lana Hill walks to each side of the ring and waves at the fans before settling down in her corner. Jessica Carr, Lady Lana looking strong this week. Maybe she'll get a win this week? Victoria Hill, you know how much bigger than Lana the Marquis is? Fat chance of victory here. Jessica Carr, you never know. She could take him down. Victoria Hill, well, I mean this is true. Marcela Sancho, and her opponent, hailing from Paris, France, he is the Marquis de Harlequin. Marquis de Harlequin enters with a Baroque-themed orchestral overture Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. The arena dims to near darkness, save for a spotlight that follows him, casting large, distorted shadows. He weaves through the shadows, his movements both graceful and eerie. As he approaches the ring, he produces phantom flames in his hands, tossing them into the air where they transform into a flock of doves that scatter into the arena. Upon reaching the ring, he takes a dramatic bow, a sly smirk playing across his lips, as the lights suddenly return to full brightness. Jessica Carr, Lana is giving up about 9 inches and 105 pounds to the Marquis. Victoria Hill, Katya only dreams that the Marquis was giving 9 inches. Jessica Carr, oh, it doesn't have to be a pervert thing. Victoria Hill, oh, but it does. Why not? As the bell sounds, Lady Lana rushes across the ring and hits the Marquis with a hard right hand that barely turns the man's head. She tries again, but this time the Marquis catches the fist with a smirk. Lana tries striking him with her left hand, but the Marquis catches that too. He squeezes Lana's hands, driving her to her knees. The Marquis kicks her in the chest, releasing her as he sends her to the mat. The Marquis acts like he's going to kick her while she's down, but she rolls away to her feet quickly. The Marquis rushes to her, hitting one powerful European uppercut after another, driving Lana into the corner. He grabs her by the shoulders and drives home a headbutt that rocks her world to the core. He steps back as per the instruction of referee Georgina Ross and watches with a sadistic grin as Lana takes a couple of steps and flops onto her face. Jessica Carr, the size and power difference is pretty damning. Victoria Hill, I don't know which of our owners is doing the booking now, but this was a heck of a mismatch. I'm disappointed in our management. The Marquis goes to pick Lana up, but is pulled down into a jawbreaker instead. Lana gets up and runs across the ring with the Marquis up and right behind her. She leaps at the middle rope, springboarding into a twisting, turning high crossbody block that takes the Marquis down. She stays on top of him and hooks a leg right quick for the pinfall. Georgina Ross gets into position to make the count. 1, 2. THRE the Marquis kicks out. Jessica Carr, see? Lady Lana nearly walked away with the win right there. Victoria Hill, this is true. I did not see that coming. Lady Lana gets up quickly and catches the rising Marquis in the face with a super kick to send him back down to the mat. She goes to the top rope, posing ever so briefly for the cheering fans who know what's coming next, and leaps through the air to hit a shooting star press. Only the Marquis gets his knees up into the air at the last moment, catching Lana and dumping her to the side. He gets to his feet and looks down at her with a cruel grin. Marquis de Harlequin, and you thought you had me for a moment. Too bad for you, much luck for me. He helps her up to her feet and slips behind her, hitting 3 belly-to-back suplexes in a row before holding onto her for a cover. Georgina Ross gets into position for the count. 1, 2. THR Lana kicks out. Jessica Carr, Lana was almost defeated right there. Victoria Hill, the luck in a match can change in an instant. The Marquis stands up and glares at Georgina, who meekly holds up 2 fingers to indicate a 2 count. The Marquis grunts and watches as Lana gets up onto all fours and then kicks her in the ribcage just as hard as he can, nearly rolling her over. He kicks her again and again, laughing as she coughs up blood and collapses back down to the mat. The Marquis peels Lana up off of the mat. He hits a snapmare and hits a soccer kick right in the small of the back. He puts a knee to her spine and pulls back on her chin. Lana twists right quick, slipping out of the Marquis grasp. The Marquis reaches for her again, but Lana goes to the ropes right quick. On the rebound, Lana goes for a spear. She slams into the Marquis, but he doesn't budge. He pulls her up into the air and powerbombs her onto the mat with authority. He pulls her back to her feet and hits a disorienting flourish of quick strikes that ends with a devastating backstabber in a technique called the Grand Masquerade. At the end of it, Lana crumples into a heap on the mat. Jessica Carr, I think this match is all over. Victoria Hill, right. The Marquis de Harlequin goes for the pinfall, Georgina Ross getting into position to make the count. 1, 2, 3. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via pinfall, the Marquis de Harlequin. Jessica Carr, Lady Lana tried, but she just couldn't win over the size difference. Victoria Hill, we knew this was going to happen, but it would have been nice if it was the other way. What will it take to get Lady Lana a nice winning streak? Jessica Carr, it is a bit disheartening at times. But she stuck through it all. Victoria Hill, that's why they call her the mascot of the CWF. She's here through thick and thin. Jessica Carr, well, Lady Lana and the Marquis have cleared out of the ring. And it looks like we're getting ready for the next matchup here tonight. Victoria Hill, the Keystone State Killer Chris Ross taking on Steve Murdoch. Will this one go hardcore? Jessica Carr, well, Chris Ross is known for using some hardcore tactics at times. So it's not off the table if he has his way. Victoria Hill, but will Steve Murdoch welcome that? Jessica Carr, and will Team Viper be able to leave him alone for a match without their interference? Victoria Hill, God, I hope not. Marcela Sancho, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, he is Chris the Keystone State Killer Ross. Black Flame by Barry Tomorrow plays over the loudspeakers as red and blue lights flicker resembling police lights as the Keystone State Killer storms out with his screwdriver in hand. He walks down the ramp and slides into the ring before sliding off his sunglasses and setting them under one of the ropes. He climbs to one of the top ropes, raising his screwdriver over his head almost like it's a sword before he climbs down, setting it under one of the turnbuckles. Jessica Carr, I don't know why he's even allowed to bring that screwdriver down to the ring with him. It's just a temptation to stab someone. Victoria Hill, maybe if he does, we could get him arrested like Jasmine Minton was. Jessica Carr, now that's a thought. You can't be trying to murder your opponent. This isn't prison. Victoria Hill, I don't think they're technically allowed to murder people in prisons either. Marcela Sancho, and his opponent, hailing from Dallas, Texas, he is Steve Murdoch. Darkness covers the arena as the first few seconds of the final countdown play. When the drum beat hits, and the vocals begin with "We're Living Together," the crowd joins in, and the lights come up as we see Steve Murdoch standing at the entrance ramp, kneeling, head down and both fists on the ground. He punches the ramp with his right hand, stands up and makes his way to the ring. Jessica Carr, Steve Murdoch. The hardcore free wrestler. Victoria Hill, kind of a shame, but I think he can do it. It's not as great as him being a hardcore guy. Chris Ross is a fighter. Will Steve Murdoch be able to remain a wrestler? At ringside, chaos is happening as Mad Morales and Monster Mammoth take up front row seats to watch the match. Security is forced to clear the area around them to make sure that they can watch in peace. Steve Murdoch looks down at ringside and nods. Mad Morales and Monster Mammoth nod back. Jessica Carr, Viper Squad at ringside. This cannot be good. Victoria Hill, right? They are here to watch Chris Ross force Steve Murdoch to wrestle in a hardcore way since Chris is here for a fight. Jessica Carr, I don't think that Chris Ross can make Steve Murdoch go hardcore. He has more personal resolve than that. Victoria Hill, maybe, but he might have to dig deep to defeat Chris Ross. As the bell sounds to start the match, Chris Ross and Steve Murdoch get to the center of the ring and are face to face. Chris Ross, you ready for a fucking fight? Steve Murdoch, you up for a solid defeat in a wrestling match, boy? Chris Ross, I ain't your boy. I'm your better. Steve Murdoch, you? Show me. Chris Ross hauls off and decks Steve Murdoch with a hard right hand. Steve Murdoch fires back with a hard right hand of his own. They go back and forth until Steve whips Chris into the ropes and hits a clothesline on the rebound, sending Chris to the mat. He gets in a few boots to the ribs before Chris can get back up to his feet. Steve grabbed him up though, placing him over his shoulder, and runs at the corner. He hits a snake eyes, bouncing Chris' face off of the top turnbuckle. Steve starts locking in the Texas Cloverleaf, also known as the 1000s lock, but Chris manages to stretch and get the bottom rope before Steve can cinch it, and so he is told to break the lock by referee Ashley Beaton. Steve stands up and watches as Chris Ross get up and goes for the Shining Wizard, a move he has named Machine Mayhem. Chris ducks under the kick and brings up his arm to hit a low blow from behind. He follows this with a German suplex, taking Steve down. Chris jumps up and kicks Steve in the side of the mouth, sending blood and spittle flying across the mat. Jessica Carr, is that a tooth? Victoria Hill, looks like a couple of teeth. You know, one of those things that's artificial teeth, but only for a few replacements and not full dentures. Chris pulls Steve up into a Tasplex, laying him out in the middle of the ring and then going for the cover. 1, 2. Steve kicks out. Chris Ross jumps to his feet and punt kicks Steve in the face as he is trying to get up as well, busting his nose in a sloppy fashion as blood goes everywhere. He pulls Steve into a sitting position and bites him on the shoulder. Referee Ashley Beaton gets in there to pull Chris off, but the damage is done and Steve is bleeding from the shoulder. Jessica Carr, that was insane. He bit Steve? Victoria Hill, all part of bringing the fight to Steve. Chris Ross backs up away from Steve Murdoch and then does a running thrust kick to the chest that he calls the 12 gauge. He then kicks at Steve to get him to roll over and start getting up so that he can climb to the top rope. He steadies himself and leaps through the air to hit a curb stomp that he calls Welcome to Harrisburg, but Steve Murdoch rolls out of the way. Steve Murdoch gets to his feet and quickly strikes Chris Ross with a heart punch. Chris goes pale, takes a couple of steps backward and falls down near his own corner. Steve Murdoch advances to the corner. Chris Ross reaches toward the corner where his screwdriver lies and only finds Miguel Lanza Jr. there. He grabs the screwdriver before Chris can. Miguel Lanza, Jr., not this time. As Miguel Lanza then turns and walks towards the back, with the screwdriver in hand. Steve Murdoch drags Chris Ross from the corner to the center of the ring where he applies the Texas cloverleaf that he calls the 1000s lock. Jessica Carr, he was going to stab Steve Murdoch? How insane can you get? Victoria Hill, that is why he brings the weapon. Just in case. Without a chance to reach the ropes or his weapon and unable to break out, Chris Ross does the only thing he can do. He submits. Steve Murdoch breaks the hold and stands up, raising his arms in the air. Marcela Sancho, winner of the match via submission, Steve Murdoch. Chris Ross slips to the back while Steve Murdoch celebrates his victory in the ring. Jessica Carr, wait, looks like Viper Squad are not going to leave Murdoch alone tonight after all. Victoria Hill, finally, there's my man. Murdoch's alone in the ring and the Viper Squad climb over the barricade from their hard camera seats and walk into the ring, Monster Mammoth having an all too familiar barbed wire kendo stick in his hand, wrapped in a black cloth. The two men face Murdoch, and Mammoth reveals the kendo stick. Monster Mammoth, look at this. There's more of us than there are Steve Murdoch fans in this dump of a town. Speaking of dumps, look what I found in the shittiest one in this whole state. Even put some lemon juice on it to make it the real deal. He shoves kendo stick in Steve's hands and turns his back to him, his hands held high. Monster Mammoth, you see, Vancouver? You finally get to be home to a historic event. Steve Murdoch's broken promise to himself. Now come on and take a swing so everyone can see. Come on. Give me some pain. Steve rings the stick with both of his hands. It would be so easy. He taps the stick on the ground and draws back, ready to lacerate Mammoth's back, but he stops and throws the kendo stick to the mat. Mammoth and the rest of the Viper Squad laugh at his cowardice until Murdoch is handed a microphone by a stagehand. Steve Murdoch, this all ends at Shadow Warfare, the taunting, the interference, all of it. Monster Mammoth, you and I, Iron Man match. 30 minutes to expose you and show how I am still a wrestling machine. He puts out his hand to Mammoth, who turns around to face Murdoch. Monster Mammoth, if you want a war in the shadows, a fight where no one will see your mangled corpse after. You must want another dose of the last lethal injection I gave you. Ha ha ha, alright then. 30 minutes of pure pain inflicted on Steve Murdoch by yours truly. Just make sure you're ready to hear what's said every time you finish in bed. Is that all you got? Mammoth, showing respect for the moxie of his opponent, begins to back away from the ring. Every member of the Viper squad stares harshly at Murdoch while exiting the ring, leaving an eerie sensation to fill the air. Jessica Carr, interesting turn of events there. Looks like we've had 2 matches for Shadow Warfare booked tonight. First the Tempest Championship match for 4 Winds Wrestling, and now Steve Murdoch and Monster Mammoth in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Victoria Hill, I can handle that. Sounds like a hell of a match. Jessica Carr, well, one more commercial break tonight, and when we come back, Viper Squad and Pacific Rim. Vodka. The Bastards. Musty juice. Lip-smacking goodness in a bottle. We come back to the show, and the camera is on Marcela Sancho in the ring as the announcers feed us the information. Jessica Carr, welcome back. We're now about to have our main event of the night as Mad Morales and Monster Mammoth representing the Viper Squad will be facing off against 2 members of the Upstarts and the twins of Aklat and Kelia Flonot. Pacific Rim. Victoria Carr, how the mighty have fallen, as Pacific Rim was the team that were the inaugural and technically last CWF Tag Team Champions. Jessica Carr, well, this is going to be a huge match for Viper Squad. Let's go to the ring. Marcela Sancho, the following match is our main event of the evening. It is a tag team match with TV time remaining. Introducing first, representing the Viper Squad. They come in at a combined 547 lbs, from Norfolk, Virginia and Detroit, Michigan. They are the Daredevil Mad Morales and the Peak of Freak Monster Mammoth. As the theme plays, Morales takes the lead as he leaps onto the stage from the back and holds out his arms, taking in the boos and cheers from the crowd. As Mammoth comes out, he raises a single arm up as Morales raises his hands in his demon horn pose, but then reverses them slowly into fangs as moves back and forth from Mammoth's left and right, playing peekaboo with the camera as he trash talks into it. Victoria Hill, Peak of Freak is right. That is Peak Man there. Mammoth walks slowly and methodically to the ring, whereas Morales bounces to the beat, cheering with those that join in, jeering those who boo him. Every now and then he would jeer a fan who would be scared off by Mammoth standing behind him, but Morales would act like it was due him and not Mammoth. Finally, as they reached the ring, Morales would enter his usual way, jumping horizontally to slide in the ring, and then he would sit on the ropes to open them for Mammoth. He then runs and jumps on the turnbuckle and lifts his hands to throw up the devil horns as Mammoth stands next to him, one hand gripping the top rope and the other raised as if trying to choke the very air around the ring. Marcela Sancho, and their opponents. Representing the Upstarts. They were the inaugural CWF Tag Team Champions. Hailing from Ketchikan, Alaska by way of Oahu, Hawaii. They come in at a combined 465 lbs. Kelia and Aklat Flonot. Pacific Rim. The arena's lights fade and dim as heavy native beat drums start to play. A woman's voice starts up as the spotlight shines up onto the stage. 2 people, one much bigger than the other, are there, covered in what can only be called native-inspired dancing robes. The smaller one's costume looking like some sort of bird. The larger one, his mask looking like a large fish or whale. The song is pulsed by the native folk rock band from Siberia called Otakan. Both start to dance, traditional moves to the beat, and head down to the ring. Jerky movements from the smaller one, simulating that bird, and more flowing moves from the larger. Jessica Carr, the Sea Raven, Kelia Flonot has had some issues as of late. But I've heard that she's thinking she's worked through them. Victoria Hill, she'd better have. 'Cause they're going to be dealing with 2 people who won't care if they cause a little more PTSD on her side. Both dance down to the ring, until they get to the ringside area. They stop, and then pull off their masks, and hand them to attendants at ringside. Both then remove their robes in a flourish, roll them up and put them with their masks, in the attendants' arms. They then both jump up to the ring apron in unison, but that's when the twin part ends. As Kelia does a ring rope-assisted somersault into the ring, her much larger brother, Aklat, slowly climbs between the second and top rope. Jessica Carr, now to see how they start this off. Victoria Hill, well, last time they wrestled, it was against the Bastards and Kelia never even got into the ring. It appears that Monster Mammoth has decided to start off the match as Mad Morales climbs through the ropes to the outside. Jessica Carr, and it's the Freak starting on the side of the Vipers. Akhlot sees Mammoth taking his position in the ring, and he walks towards the center as his sister then climbs to the outside. Victoria Hill, okay, now we're talking. Mammoth is 6 feet 6 inches and almost 360 pounds. And the Sea Wolf, Akhlot Flunad, is 6 feet 8 inches and almost 330 pounds. We have almost 700 pounds of man in that ring right now. And they're just going to beat each other with hammock-sized fists. The referee, Scott Jones, runs down the rules for the two men before he signals for the bell to start the match. Ding! Ding! Both men move into lock-up in a classic manner. They start to shove each other around the ring. Mammoth, eventually being a bit shorter, but having about 25 pounds on his opponent, gets the upper hand and pushes him back to his own corner. Morales grabs the larger Flunot and tries to hold him as Mammoth starts to deliver a flurry of shoulder blocks to his midsection. Victoria Hill and Viper Squad already dominating with teamwork. Mammoth stops and turns to walk around to maybe build up some steam for something. Akhlot suddenly reaches behind himself and grabs Morales under his shoulder. As Mammoth comes running in, Akhlot hip tosses Morales at his own partner. Mammoth puts his arms up and prevents Morales from hitting him, but it drops Morales to the mat. Jessica Carr and the Sea Wolf using Mad Morales as a weapon there. Akhlot comes out of the corner to grab Monster Mammoth and takes him over with a quick release belly-to-belly suplex. Mad Morales rolls to the apron under the ropes and then pulls himself up quickly. As Akhlot starts to come up to his feet, Morales tries to springboard in with a crossbody, but he gets caught into a fall-away slam by the big Hawaiian native. When Morales lands, Kelia comes off her corner turnbuckle with moonsault that connects on the smaller of the Vipers. Victoria Hill, and teamwork all around for everyone now. Kelia scrambles back to her corner quickly as her brother gets up and pulls Morales up. When Akhlot has Morales to his feet, the smaller man breaks out a bit of height on a drop kick that launches Akhlot to his own corner. Morales gets back to his corner and ducks under the ropes, getting halfway before Mammoth tags him in. As Morales comes in, Akhlot fires out of his corner. Kelia manages to tag her brother's shoulder quickly when he moves. Jessica Carr, Kelia tagged in. As Akhlot runs at him, Morales hits him with a low basement drop kick to his knee. Morales pops back up, hits the ropes and nails Akhlot with a punt kick to the side of the head. Morales then goes up to a neutral corner turnbuckle and climbs up, as if he's setting up for a moonsault, but he plays to the fans a bit, taunting them with his devil horns gesture. Kelia comes running out of her corner and climbs up behind Morales, then drops backwards, bringing her legs up under his arms and taking him over in her version of the Victory Star drop that she calls felling the tree. Victoria Hill, he played up to the crowd too much there. But Kelia Flunad is the legal woman. And she hits a huge Victory Star drop type of powerbomb on the Air Devil for his troubles. Mammoth tries to run in, just as Akhlot gets up to his feet. Akhlot lets out a low rumble from his mouth, some of his native throat singing, and grabs the loops on the back of his sister's wetsuit. He spins around and launches her at Mammoth. She twists a bit and hits an elbow to the big man's midsection, bending him over. Jessica Carr, the Insane Spot Machines are getting their stride here tonight. We've not seen them like this since they lost the tag team titles. Mammoth doesn't look fazed in the slightest by Kelia's hit. Kelia rolls out of the way as her brother goes back to hit the ropes. Mad Morales jumps up and hits an enziguri on Akhlot as he hits the ropes, causing the bigger Flunot to stumble. Mammoth runs in and hits Akhlot with a clothesline, causing him to fall back to the ropes. Mammoth turns to run for the ropes, but Scott Jones is there to warn both of the big men that they need to get out of the ring, and starts a 5 count. 1, 2. Mammoth heads back to his corner. Victoria Hill and Scott Jones laying down the law for some order in the match. 3. Akhlot steps out of the ropes and heads to grab the tag rope. Jessica Carr, and they're listening to him. Scott Jones signals for the two high flyers to continue. Morales moves to grab Kelia by the hair and pull her up, but she breaks that hold and then grabs him to whip him to the corner. She follows in with a running hip check that puts Morales' head between her rear and the turnbuckle, hard. She turns around and runs to the other side, and looks to be lining up a run. Morales, as he's slipping down the turnbuckles, notices and pulls himself out, and launches himself for his corner, where he falls into a tag with Monster Mammoth. Victoria Hill, big tag by the Air Devil there. Monster Mammoth comes into the ring and shakes his head at the smaller woman. Kelia shakes her head back at him, and then comes running out of the corner. She executes her own basement-style dropkick, hitting Mammoth in the shin and dropping him down to one knee. Aklat slips into the ring quickly, as she gets up and hits the ropes again right near where he's at. Aklat pulls on the ropes, as she springboards up, and then uses that to launch herself up and over into a double knee to Mammoth's back. Jessica Carr, in a huge move by Pacific Rim. Mammoth just stands up after the hit, and looks at Aklat, then to Kelia where she's not working to get back to her feet. Mad Morales starts to climb up to his corner turnbuckle. Victoria Hill, and here comes all four in the ring again. Scott Jones has his work cut out for him tonight. As Morales comes off the ropes, appearing to aim at Kelia, Aklat rushes out and catches him midair with a pounce-like shoulder tackle. Morales falls over the ropes as he's redirected, sending him tumbling to the apron and then to fall to the floor outside. Jessica Carr, and that landing might not have been good for the Air Devil. Victoria Hill, that could be a tide turner there, for sure. As Morales, outside the ring, comes up to his feet, he doesn't seem to notice what's about to come at him. Aklat pulls back on the ropes and then launches himself over into something resembling a plancha, but he manages to turn it a bit like a crossbody. The huge man hits Morales, taking him down to the floor before he rolls off of him. Both men appear to be out of it a bit outside. Jessica Carr, holy! The Seawolf just launched himself over the ropes to the outside. I think he might have killed Mad Morales. Victoria Hill, no, he's moving, but if I was him I'd stay down for a bit. But I'm not sure Aklat landed too well with that move either. In the ring, Monster Mammoth is coming up to his feet as well. Kelia Flanad is outside the ropes on the apron when she hops up to the top, twists and comes off to grab at Mammoth's head, going for a 720 DDT. But the big man just puts the brakes on and pushes her off of his head, to land her on the ground hard. Jessica Carr, and she misses with the Borealis DDT. Mammoth then smiles at the crowd before reaching down and grabbing Kelia by the throat and pulling her up. Victoria Hill, and now we get to see some breath play by my man. He is so kinky. Mammoth lifts Kelia up into the air, holding her by the throat. She instantly grabs at his hand, trying to free up the hold a bit and loosen it. She starts to flail her legs as he lifts the smaller woman up high. Jessica Carr, well, looks like he's going to try for the PTSD route here. Victoria Hill, he's trying to end her. Kelia suddenly brings her knee up sharply, hitting Mammoth in the chin. He staggers back a step. Jessica Carr, she's fighting back. Suddenly she brings her legs up and wraps them around Mammoth's neck and shoulder, locking in a form of figure four around him. Mammoth tries to get out of it, but she's got it locked on. Victoria Hill, what a turnaround! Kelia Flanad has turned what should have been a high-choking setup chokeslam into almost a mounted leg choke of some kind. Eddie Vega would pay good money to be in Monster Mammoth's place right now. Mammoth makes his way over to the turnbuckle and tries to slam Kelia down onto it to get her to release the hold. Jessica Carr, remember, last Warzone, Mammoth lost to Father Nathan with a dragon sleeper. The big man needs a lot of oxygen to keep that body moving. Kelia appears to not be willing to let the hold go for too long. As she's bounced off the turnbuckle, when her legs release around his neck, she locks them back on into something that resembles a crucifix armbar. She locks her legs at her ankles to try to hold on and arches back. Mammoth tries to hit her on the turnbuckle again, but when she hits, this time she slips down with his arm still in the hold, to where Mammoth is supported by the ropes under his arm, and Kelia is hanging on, upside down, outside the ring. Scott Jones comes in to warn Kelia about being on the ropes and tells her to let the hold go. Jessica Carr, if she just lets go, she might fall outside the ring in a very precarious position. Kelia isn't listening to the referee. She keeps the hold locked in as Mammoth keeps trying to see if he can break the hold and get her off of his arm. His elbow looks like it's about to reach the hyperextended point of being bent backwards. Scott Jones starts the count for being on the ropes. 1, 2. Kelia still isn't listening and holding onto the hold. 3. Suddenly Akhlad is up onto the apron, trying to help his sister out and get her to break the hold. But she's not exactly listening to him either from the looks of it. 4. Jessica Carr, let it go Kelia. Jessica Carr, she's locked on like a Rottweiler on a bone. Scott Jones hits the 5 count. 5. He then turns to signal for the bell. Ding! 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 Victoria Hill, Kelia Flunat just got her team disqualified for not breaking the hold while on the ropes. Masila Sancho, the winners of this bout, by result of a disqualification. Monster Mammoth and Mad Morales. Team Viper. Mad Morales comes up and also tries to get Kelia to break the hold, but he uses his fists, which is met by a fist from Akhlad. Kelia tries to keep holding on as people start to come out from the back. These include her teammates in the upstarts. Testuo Oni and Abby Dresden both move to get her into a position to release the hold without falling, but also seem to be trying to convince her to let it go, while Miguel Lanza stands by to make sure no one else does anything. Jessica Carr, we're almost out of time. Finally, Kelia breaks the hold, as Oni and Dresden help her get to her feet on the apron without falling. Mammoth looks to be about to start something, till he sees that the upstarts have all 5 members out there now. Instead, he puts his hands up and backs up to a neutral side and steps outside of the ring ropes. Victoria Hill, it may have not been the way they wanted it, but a win is a win. Team Viper just got a win over Pacific Rim. Jessica Carr, but Kelia Flunat has gone from scaredy cat to, as you had put it, Rottweiler. Victoria Hill, maybe she just got tired of people always going for her throat. Although, I have to admit, I'd let Mammoth choke. Jessica Carr, okay, enough of that. We're out of time. We'll see you on Warzone in Vancouver. And remember, both #join the conquest.